Another race has come and gone, and another horrible incident that makes Max Verstappen out to look like a petulant child is once again behind us. Add it to the list, but it's lights out in episode 179 of the Eaton Asphalt podcast. Marco, we are at the end of a triple header, 3 races in a row over 3 weeks. How do you feel? Or is it a breath of fresh air to have like a week off? Are you going to be yearning for more? Where's your head at?
I think I'm yearning, honestly.
Yeah.
The times were not bad at all.
Yep.
9 a.m. for me, 8 a.m. on Sundays. Pretty ideal. Honestly, I could go an hour earlier, honestly, with the time that I'm up. So I think it's the triple headers, the double headers that are like the 3 a.m.s and the 5 a.m.s that really put me down. Like I could do this year round.
Yeah. We have a big stretch coming up, almost like up to Azerbaijan, which is going to be in September, where we are just easy going. Like
Hmm.
Canada's going to be late. UK is going to be a little like later, but the rest of them are going to be 9 o'clock Eastern time. Easy to wake up, watch that, get on with your day. So yeah, I love it. It's nice. And for a Barcelona race, I said this last time for the Monaco, but for a Barcelona race, very entertaining race. Not during the
Hmm.
middle part. But the beginning, the end, extremely exciting. Cars passing, cars on different strategies, a safety car coming into play to bunch up the field toward the end of the race. I don't think you can ask much more of that for a track of Barcelona, which is normally a track that's not super keen to having a lot of people overtake.
I would. I looked at this race like a compliment sandwich.
Yeah.
Does anyone remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah. So if
yeah,
you do
yeah.
something nice right at the beginning, your negative feedback end with something nice. This was the Barcelona compliment sandwich 2025.
I love it. Yeah. Well, on this episode of the podcast, we'll do a hot lap recap. We'll give our TikTok takes, who ate asphalt, and then we'll end with our predictions and gambling. But let's get right into it, catching you up to speed on what happened in the Spanish Grand Prix. All right, hot lap recap. Let's start the weekend on Saturday. Carlos Sainz and Yuki Tsunoda were early quality exits in Q1. Isaac Hadjar, Pierre Gasly were riding the French momentum on Saturday and got into Q3 the same day that the PSG won the Champions League. Lewis Hamilton, things were looking up for him on Saturday, tied his best qualifying position at P5, and we ended with the recognizable top three with Oscar, Lando, and Max Verstappen. On to Sunday, stop me if you've heard this before, but Max overtook Lando on lap one. Also on lap one, George lost 2 positions to the Ferrari team, and most surprisingly, Hulkenberg and Alonso had one of the best back and forths that I've seen in a long time, and Nico Hulkenberg went up 5 places in 3 laps, an absolute champion. He was a lion out there on the early side of the race and beyond. Liam Lawson throughout the race seemed to make contact with just about every driver on the grid there. See, I don't think it was like super. I don't think he was just driving too aggressively as much as it was just like he was just a magnet. And he had a couple slip ups that were his fault, but I like him, so we're not going to pay attention to that. To be honest, like we said, the rest of the race was kind of boring in the middle, not a ton of action. We were well on the way of seeing another, oh, well, the beginning was fun and the middle to the end were not great. And then 10 laps to go for the second time in 3 races. Kimi Antonelli causes a safety car, this time due to technical failure. So it wasn't his fault, but he did cause a safety car. And from that point forward, it was just like, all right, it's on. Like anytime you get a safety car toward the end of the race, cars are bunching up. People are going to have free pit stops. So people are going to have fresher tires than normal. It's like, all right, now it's go time. I just love when that happens. That's a sign of like a good, entertaining race is when the field gets bunched up toward the end there. Red Bull put Max on a hard tire, which was confusing because we only had about 10 laps to go. I think when he went in, it was only like probably like 8 or 9 laps to go. Even he was confused by it. He came over the radio saying like, "Hey, like what tire are we on right now?" They told him hard, and he was like, "Why? Like, why are we on this hard tire? There's not an ideal for like a 6 or 7 lap sprint to the finish." But anyway, that was the only one that was available for him at the team. I thought it was just a blunder. I thought that Red Bull was like, oh my God, like white is the hard, you
Yeah,
guys.
whoopsies.
Yeah, we forgot. But because of that hard tire, didn't have much grip. Max went about as sideways as you can get coming onto the straight with the green, with that green flag. Opened the door for Leclerc just behind him to complete that overtake. Max and Charles made contact during that overtake. And you could tell Verstappen was starting to kind of raise the temperature a little bit. He was getting a little mad. We all get mad sometimes. We all get frustrated. But sometimes when Max Verstappen gets mad, really bad things happen. And it almost did when he hit Charles and then he hit George Russell after that. That was awesome because his race engineer came over the radio saying, "Hey, Max, go ahead and let George pass you," right? We went off the track to gain an advantage. He was like, "No, I'm not doing that." He's like, "Hey, buddy, I make the call here, right? You execute the call, but I'm supposed to be making the call and paying attention to the rules." And you could tell, like, when he came over the radio, it was like, "Hey, Max, can you please, just, if you have time, when you have a minute, go ahead and let Russell pass, please." And he was like, "No, I'm not doing that." But anyway, he did. Max, who was still hot and annoyed, what just happened to him, he's fighting on the radio. He lets George by, and then just like smacks into him. And one of the most childish moves I think I've seen in a long time. He almost let Russell through, and actually was like, "Oh well." It's kind of like the game of tag when you tag somebody, but they tag you right back and then run away.
Hmm.
It's like, no, you can't, like, no, you have to actually let me,
Hmm.
let me tag you, let me
Yeah.
pass. Russell almost through, just, getting smashed by Verstappen, almost finished his race. But of course, that had earned Max a penalty because the cars were bunched up toward the end of the race because of that late safety car. Max dropped from P4 down to P10. Probably didn't even deserve the point that he got, just based off of his racing behavior. But we got it. We got an entertaining Barcelona Grand Prix. Not an entertaining race throughout, but an entertaining Grand Prix overall. Fireworks, especially toward the end, and overall, I mean, just a great experience to watch that one.
Yeah. I mean, again, like you said, exceeded my expectations for this race. Um, and yeah, I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah, especially at a place like Barcelona. I feel like Barcelona is Monaco Junior, where people are like, "Oh, it's Barcelona, you're not going to see a lot of action on the track."
Hmm.
I mean, we saw somebody use a car as a weapon on the track,
Yeah.
so I don't know if you can really say that anymore about Barcelona. All we need to do is piss up it now. It should now be a rule, just like every year we get one more stop at Monaco, like 2029, we're gonna have 7 stops at Monaco every year for Barcelona, Max Verstappen, kind of like the bull testicles that get tied up so that the bull starts bucking more.
Yeah.
You tie up. Basically, what I'm saying is you have to tie up Max Verstappen's testicles before every race in Barcelona.
Just yeah, on that string, let them buck.
Yeah,
I think maybe Monaco and Barcelona, we just do adult size go karts, and you get bumpers, and you get to ram and jam.
I like that. And
Yeah,
once a one lap every race, the engine shuts off and you have to push it and run behind it.
there's that too.
All right, that was our hot lap recap. Let's get into our TikTok takes, our takes for the internet. Marco coming up here.
All right, my TikTok take is going to be Max did not deserve the hate that he's getting, and it's not his fault that he caused the crash and bumped into Russell. Hear me out.
I am.
It is his engineer's fault. 100% his engineer's fault because he says you have to give the position away. Imagine, all right, let's put yourself in a different sport, something you played growing up, soccer, egregious foul on you, right? Against you. They don't call red at all. And you're like, this guy just broke my ankles. You start yelling at him. You lose control. This is not your fault. This is a mess up on someone else's fault. Basketball, right? Hard foul, anything you can say. He reacted to something that should not have happened. Stewards came back at the end of the race and said that we would not have made George pass Max at the end of the race. He did nothing wrong. He didn't pass outside the lines. So I can see under Max being super upset about something that he did not deserve to give up, causing a catalyst effect. Did he react poorly? Yes. Was he the cause of it? No.
I mean, I gotta be honest. You didn't have me in the first half, but I think you
Uh,
did get me in the second
if
half.
his engine, if the team doesn't, I mean, even if you heard the commentators, they were like, "What are you doing? No, 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 no! You don't give that back." Like I didn't live. I was like, "What did he do wrong?" Like I don't
Yeah.
understand why he has to give this back. and the only people I heard that said that he had to was the Red Bull team. So that was kind of a surprise to everyone watching. And it seemed like it was a surprise to the stewards too, where they're like, dude, like, no, we wouldn't have done that. He didn't do anything wrong. So that went from a P4 finish to P10 because his engineer told him something he shouldn't.
But one thing that I'm certain
Or
of
Max.
is that yeah, yeah, definitely. One thing I'm certain of is that Max Verstappen feels the exact same way that you do. So you basically have the same idea. You know he's going into that like cool off room with his engineers post race and being like, "Do you have anything to say to me?"
Yeah, he's like, you crashed into George. You did this.
Oh, good stuff. That was good. That's what the sector's for, baby. Throwing off some takes and then proving them right.
Proving me right, I think.
All right, good stuff, Marco. Let's go from our TikTok takes to our next sector, which is who ate and who ate asphalt. All right, I got a lot of these because I feel like this was a pretty like pretty well like there's a lot of content to go through here. So I'm gonna start with the positive. Who ate? Easy one for me. Nico Hulkenberg, Nicolas Hulkenberg. Since we're in Spain, he pulled Sauber from P10 to P8 this weekend. He got P5 in the race. He passed Lewis Hamilton on track. A potentially season-changing pivotal race for a backmarker team that is used to not scoring a lot of points. A P5. That's 10 points.
Yeah, doing this in the first, what was he, P6? P6 or P7, race one, dead spot, and then pops back up. Has scored more points in this race than the number two Red Bull driver has all season.
Oh no, is that
Right?
true? That's
Put it in the
so
loo
funny.
right there.
Oh, that's so good. How many points has the second Red Bull driver scored? One? Didn't Yuki get a P10? I think Yuki got a
Yeah,
P10.
I mean, it's got to be under five.
Yeah, that is so funny. Wow. What a
Maybe
stat.
he deserves the Red Bull seat.
Maybe he deserves the Red Bull seat. Put Nico in there. I'm looking now. He's got so Yuki has 4 points. Yuki has 4 points. It's
For Red Bull, yeah,
crazy
yeah, yeah.
for
So
Red
yeah,
Bull. Yeah. My next person who ate, yeah, Isaac Hadjar. Speaking of people in that Red
yes.
Bull seat, took Racing Bulls from P7 to P6. Another great race from him. He's just balling. Like every time you see Isaac Hadjar's name, it's like, oh wow, that's like surprising that he got into Q3 again. And now it's becoming like, oh well, yeah, we kind of expected that from him. The last three races that he's been in have been P9, P5, and P9. That P5 was in Monaco. So he's finished ninth, sixth, and seventh. So guys just scores points. That's what he does. He's scoring points more often than he's not over the season.
Do you think one, like two-part question, do you think one, he does move into the Red Bull 2 seat this year? And two, do you think he wants to?
That's a really good question. You would think, yeah,
Thank
like I
you.
mean, on the surface, yes, obviously, but
Dude, I think he's probably like, I'm exceeding expectations right now. There's no pressure on me. I'm a rookie. The second you get in, no matter if you're a rookie or not,
yeah,
you're gonna have pressure. You're gonna have people being like, "Oh, like I don't know if he's ready." Blah blah blah. Dude, I think if I'm him, I'm like, I'm good.
like Racing Bulls is college, and Red Bull is like the real world.
Hmm.
Like Racing Bulls, like yeah, there's some expectation, but you like people have fun there. I mean, the quick tangent here. The social media team for
Socials
the
are
Racing
tough.
Bulls has to stop. Like
Yeah.
enough is enough. They can't keep doing this to these poor drivers. There's just like everything. It's another corny like trend or whatever. But like I mean, pretty low stakes. If you do well, it's awesome, right? You're not expected to do incredibly well. And then like Red Bull comes around and you're just in an office. Everything's gray. You're waking
Hmm.
up at 5:45 to get to work at 7:30. And yeah, and people don't last long there, except
No, it's a
for
grind. It's a grind.
that was my little Colin Coward take there. Who else ate? I'm gonna give this to George Russell. Got P4 in the race, obviously, because what we talked about. I do feel like he looks pretty good here. I think he got like he's like kind of soft. Like he's not a true racing driver. Last year when he and Verstappen were going back and forth at it, he had a big rant that was replayed, like out of anger after a race. He was talking about how Max drives, out of frustration and sometimes edges on the side of violence. That was last season, but they put it in, they overlaid it with his, like a couple people overlaid it with his performance on track this past race. Pretty fair to say that George was right about everything. He comes out looking pretty good here.
Yeah, yeah, I was gonna say there was some like I think I was on this train, still maybe kind of am, but I was kind of on the mat like George might not be like a cool dude. Wait, based off of how last year was going, right?
Yeah, for
He was
sure.
complaining, he was kind of whatever. This vindicates him a ton.
100%. Yeah. He is a lot less of he seems like a lot less of a dork and more just like somebody
Mhm.
who was like right all along.
Yeah, I mean, you still got to remember Agent George is still in there, though.
Yeah.
He will point out flaws in someone breaking the rules. He will point that out quickly,
Yeah.
but he has got looked better in my eyes for sure.
So I guess he ate this weekend because he's less of a dork. The
Yes,
perception is he's less of a dork. Okay, we'll take that.
yeah, he's getting nuggies instead of swirlies.
Big upgrade there.
Huge upgrade. Still getting nuggies, but way better.
Anybody else on the eight side of things?
Let's see. No, I actually have a few. Oh, Ferrari strategists, but specifically for Charles.
Yeah.
Strategists for Lewis are on the eight asphalt.
Yep.
But yeah, Charles, first of all, like why don't all teams try to save multiple new tires? They were talking about like this, like he invented fire. They're like, dude,
Yeah.
this guy has two new tires, never been touched, ready to go. This guy's a fucking legend. I was like, dude, I feel like you try hard to get a couple going into the race, but that's all they could talk about. Obviously, this if Max had that situation, he might, I don't know, he might have won the race. Who knows? But like he had to put on hards at the end. He had used tires. I used medium before that, I believe. So yeah, I don't understand. Like, great job for them for saving multiple. I don't understand how most teams don't make that like a strong goal to do that every weekend.
I, I mean, I think Nico Hulkenberg only placed the way he did because he crashed out in practice, so he didn't get to run a
I mean,
practice
yeah,
session, and then he had just extra tires at the end of it. So I think the answer is make sure you crash in practice.
yeah. At one point, like take a practice off.
Yeah, one practice off. You don't need three practices. It is overkill.
Yeah, I think P1 is like game one of pre spring or like spring training.
Yeah,
The rookie should get out there, understand the track. Veterans, chill.
yeah, love it. Anybody else on who ate?
That's my eight.
Then let's talk about who ate asphalt here. Kimi Antonelli, we mentioned it already. Two out of the three races in this triple header. Kimi didn't finish, and the one that he did finish, he was P18 in Monaco. So a little fun fact from my number crunching. Um, we have a quant, obviously, for the Eating Off Us podcast. Uh, Before this triple header, Kimi Antonelli finished P6 66% of the time. So 66% of the time he was in P6. 666, baby. So he's a demon.
What happens? The second the devil comes into play, no points.
Lewis Hamilton is going to be my other person who ate asphalt here. Lewis Hamilton, current state of affairs can be summed up in his post-race media interview in the media pen. He just seemed, I mean, he didn't do that poorly, right? Like, what did he finish? Like P6 or something like that? Um, you would have thought that he had the worst day of his life. And he got asked like, "Hey, can you at least look at the car, or like your relationship with the car, and like has that improved?" And he was like, "No, not at all." He's like, Nothing's changed in this like past triple header." It's like, "Oh, all right, but hey, cheer up, Bucko. You still
Yeah,
got a lot of season to go."
yeah. That was like the hardest I've seen Lewis snap on a reporter for Lewis standards. Obviously, he was just like, oh, I'm just like super frustrated. He's like, I don't know, like a half smirk, and I was like, whoa, bro,
Yeah.
sorry. Also, I think again, this stems to my eight asphalt for the Ferrari strategist for Lewis Hamilton. I mean, dude, it's a painful listen hearing them come over the radio and try to talk to him.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
understand how the only times I hear painful conversations from your engineers to the drivers are only Ferrari. Only Ferrari every single time. I cannot recall another team that had like a strategist, an engineer blunder with a communication where like the driver's like, "What are you talking about? You're an idiot." It is only I don't get it. I don't get how we keep doing this every single year.
It's got to be intimidating to be race engineer for, the winningest driver to ever race in Formula One. But you got like it can't always be the it. I agree. It sounds like an entry level person at a company talking to like a C-suite person every time they come over the call and they're like, "Hey man, what? Like, what did you say? Can you speak louder? Like, can you speak
Yeah.
clearer? Like, yeah." And just like
The
dude,
downshift situation.
I love it when he's just like, "Hey, leave me to it. Leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like, no more radio. Shut up."
Well, yeah, I mean the downshift situation. He's like, yeah, I think your downshift's broken. He's like, no, it's fine. He's like, yeah, we're gonna need you to come in. He's like, I'll do a restart. Like I'll do it, like show you it's not. And he's like, see, it doesn't work. See, it works fine. He's like, still gonna need you to have to come in. He's like, dude, what's going on? Ugh,
Uh, love it. That's your driver. That's your boy.
my team.
Um, my last person who ate asphalt here. This is gonna be a weird one coming out of left field. Terry Crews.
That was on mine. It's like, why
Okay.
is he here? Why is he
Oh,
here? What is he doing? Why is he here so much?
if you don't know who Terry Crews is, he played in the NFL in the 1990s, pivoted to acting. He was in White Chicks. He like I think he leaned in more to like just taking steroids outside of the acting stuff, and now he's just like infesting Formula One. I'm sure he's a really good dude, but the guy's got to chill out. On the post race show, he was doing the thing where
Yeah,
like his,
his chest dips. Yeah,
like, dude, that's like his bit. Like, stop
yeah,
doing
yeah,
that.
yeah.
One, it's gross, and two, like just not the right place. Like that'd be like if they brought a juggler onto F1. Like we don't need to see that. It's a completely different thing that has nothing to do with what we're watching. They were asking him questions on the post race. He was like, "Hey, what did you think of the race?" He's like, "Oh man, I thought it was crazy. I thought it was insane."
Yeah.
Like,
Even some of the
adding
questions out
nothing.
there, he's like, "Was it hot out there?" Dude, stop.
Yeah, he kills me. And I like
Yeah.
if okay, I'm like if who's a popular person like who's that one like Tate McRae, the Canadian
Hmm.
singer, if she was on the post race show, if she was asking questions, like if
Done.
she was like talking, she would
Yes.
bring a big audience. She'd be like, "Oh
I'm
my
in.
God." Like
If she
she's
started doing the
getting
chest
involved.
bumps and dude, yeah. Okay. Ballard, is that where you're going with it? I'm in. So
Correct me if I'm wrong.
get her on the phone. Get her on the phone right now. I'm all in.
I don't think Terry Crews is bringing the audience that anybody else like that would. Like he's not. I don't think he's a
No.
big enough celebrity. Like again, I feel like I mean, I'm sounding like such a hater right now, but like he just feels so fish out of water at this kind of stuff. But I don't
I
know.
think he's a fan of Formula One. It doesn't seem like he's like as nuanced about the sport as he needs to be to do the job that he's trying to do.
Yeah,
And also, I think the reason he seems like again like he's a fan. I think the times in the early 2000s where like macho men were a big thing in movies has died down, and he's probably looking for work.
he's like, dude, why did I spend decades of my life getting this big,
Yeah,
and now
he's
it's
like
like,
I was on a nice roll, 2002 to 2014. 2019, and everything just started. Everyone once sees Timothy Chalamet, skinny little guys. He's like, my roles are gone.
yeah. Well, anybody else who ate asphalt for you?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a interesting turn. I'm gonna say Lando in the fact that does Oscar enjoy like toying with Lando? Have you
Yeah,
noticed that this has
yep.
happened multiple races where like Lando will like slowly make his way up to like catching Oscar, and you're like, oh, this could be a thing, and then he's like, oh, like right when Lando starts to bleed, you can see this glimmer in his eyes in a rear view. He's like, see ya, and just bolts away, and then opens up the lead again to like 6 seconds.
I
He's done this in
think
multiple races. I think he likes just like edging him.
that's, that's a good
Just
headline.
blue ball on him. It's
Piastri likes
not
to edge
right, dude.
north.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just like Lando's using a lot of pace, like using a lot of tire to like get up
Yeah.
to him, like while Oscar's been sort of like cruising and just managing tires, and then he gets to the point where he's like, "Nah, I'm like I don't need to do this, so I'll just make sure I win this race." But yeah, Lando, it's hard to say for a guy who's had his performance, and granted. He's not like he is in the fastest car. He hasn't been that bad. I mean, he's only got outside of one race in Saudi Arabia. That was the only race he's finished where he hasn't been on the podium. But it just seems like for some reason, like no matter what, Lando's just getting the short end of the stick. Lando's just like, his
Well,
season is poisoned.
surprising too after the restart. I assumed that Lando was going to have a good chance at passing him on a new set of tires
Yeah.
and Oscar having an old set. And Oscar like got a lead, 2.5 second lead pretty early on, which I was surprised about.
Yeah. And Lando being 3 points behind, now he's 10 points behind. I think McLaren could have done a little bit of a little funky rule switching, little papaya rules, switch them
You're
around. Now Lando's
sick,
4 points
dude.
ahead, keeping them, neck and neck,
Neck and
keeping it
neck to the
exciting for the
end. Yeah,
fans.
you're sick.
That's why I'm not in charge of that team. All right, let's talk about our gambling predictions to wrap this up. But before we do that, we do have an ad, which is fitting. It's perfect timing. This part of the podcast is brought to you, this gambling part of the podcast is brought to you by chamomile tea. Chamomile tea is the only clinically proven tea that helps you relax no matter how high the stakes get. Not speaking to anybody in particular here. But if you start to feel yourself get frustrated and angry, don't lash out like a toddler who got his iPad suddenly taken away. Instead, put the kettle on. Pour yourself a cup of chamomile tea. The Formula One scene has seen an alarming uptick in temper among drivers. Not anyone in particular. We don't want to anger anybody. We don't want to say anything that's going to make someone mad. But it's always a good reminder that if your engine's firing a little too hard, slow up there, partner. Pour a cup, take a breath, and remember that sometimes the best things you need, most important thing you need when you're driving fast cars is slower thoughts. Chamomile tea, because every now and then, even F1 drivers need to downshift. So thank you to chamomile tea. No particular brand, just the product.
Just we get all of chamomile.
Yeah, just add
It's
big chamomile.
incredible, dude. That's crazy. Uh, Kind of going off on a tangent on this. You know, most people are like, I had a kid, I really mellowed out. Doesn't seem like this is really applied for old Max.
Oh, I mean, I wasn't talking about Max in
No,
particular.
I know. I
So
said like completely out of the blue. I just thought of
yeah,
that.
yeah, different.
Of course.
But anyway, all right, let's get to our predictions and gambling and wrap up the episode. I'll kick us off.
Yeah, you did. Rock around.
Yeah, boys, back. Oscar top two. That was minus 200, 2 units on there, plus a safety car at minus 115, 1 unit there. Gets me up to 7-13 on my yearly record at just over down 4 units. So your boy is on a tear.
Hell yeah. I went to 1-1, 7-11 on the year. Hedgard, top 10, easy money. I did half a unit there, plus 160. Williams, double top 10 finish. Tough weekend for Williams. That should have been on the 8 asphalt. They struggled all weekend.
Yeah,
Also, Stroll top 5 for my wild card. Gotten old, poor guy, RIP. Also, 8 asphalt. Missed a couple, I guess, there.
yep.
Um,
Big race.
so 1-1, I because it was half a unit plus 160, lost a little bit. I'm barely beating Ian with 4.04 units down
And I'm
compared to 4.09.
4.09. 4.09.
So
Wow.
7-11, naughty naughty.
All right, everybody. That is our wrap up for our Spanish Grand Prix, and we will see you for the startup and the preview of the Canadian Grand Prix next week.
See ya.
See you, assholes.
Hey, thought you could leave without saying goodbye.
I used to say I lived my life a quarter mile at a time. And I think that's why we were brothers. Because you did too.